Hi Year 4, hope you're all okay. It's me again to go through some more math stuff with you. We are carrying on with fractions today and we're carrying on with simplifying fractions. So yesterday we started simplifying fractions. That's where we divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same number to make the numerator and denominator smaller numbers. And we're going to carry on using that knowledge in word problems today. And they're not too complicated, they're one-step word problems, so we should be fine. It's just making sure you're confident with yesterday's learning in order to do today's. Okay, so all our star words are the same and there's no starter today, just because there's quite a lot to go through and there's a few questions I want to go through with you before you go on to your learning, so that's why I didn't put it on. I didn't want to make the video too long and boring for you. So let's look at the first question then. So we have Sadio ate 3/8 of his chocolate. Mo ate 1/4 of his chocolate. Who ate the most? So I've already underlined the fractions for you so you can see what are the key parts of this question. Why do you think this question is difficult and how could we apply our previous learning to solve this? If you have someone to talk to at home or if you're in school, then pause it now and have a quick chat about it. How would you work it out? So for those of you who don't have someone to chat to, have a think about it. What could we do? Why is it difficult to work it out? So it's actually difficult because we need the denominators to be the same. Okay, so when you cannot compare fractions when they do not have the same denominator. So our key learning point for today is that we cannot compare these fractions unless the denominator is the same. So using yesterday's learning, how could we do this? So how could we turn, let me just write them down. So we have 3/8 and 1/4. How could we make these the same? Have a look at these. What do you do to 4 to get to 8? Times it by 2. So I'm going to times 1/4 by 2, which will give me 1 times 2 is 2, 4 times 2 is 8, 2 8s. Okay, now we can compare them to see who ate the most chocolate. So Sadio ate 3/8, Mo ate 2/8 of his chocolate. Therefore, Sadio ate the most because he ate 3 parts of his 8 chocolate, 3 parts of the 8 pieces of chocolate, and Mo ate 2 parts of it. So hopefully that made sense. Now it's your turn to have a go at it. So there's another question, it's very similar to the other one. It says 2 gardeners were given some seeds. Holly planted 4/6 of her seeds and Finley planted 6/12 of his seeds. Who planted the most? So if you want to pause the video and have a quick go at that and then come back to me. If you're not sure, then stay with the video and we'll go through it together now. So straight away, we know our key fractions are 4/6 and 6/12. Now we cannot compare them until they've got the same denominator. So how are we going to make 6 into 12? What do we need to do to that? What do we times it by to get to 12? 2. Okay, so we're going to do 4/6. We're going to use this fraction and we're going to times it by 2. So now we do 4 times 2, which is 8, then 6 times 2, which is 12. So therefore Holly planted 8/12 of her seeds and Finley planted 6/12. So we know that Holly planted the most. Okay, hopefully you managed to get that right answer if you were doing it on your own. So now we have some developed learning questions for you to have a look at. So Virgil thinks that the fraction, or Virgil, don't know. Either way, Virgil thinks that the fraction can't be simplified any further. Is he right? Can you simplify this any further? So we have 18/54 and he simplified it into 9/27. So he's divided it by 2. Now, can we divide this by 2 again? Looking at it, no, we can't, because I can see straight away 9 is an odd number and 27 is as well. So we cannot divide either number by 2. But what times table are both of these numbers in? Threes is the answer. So you could divide them both by 3. However, I have just spotted another times table they're both in. Have a think about what other, so we could divide by 3, but what else could we divide them by? 9, because 9 divided by 9 is 1, 27 divided by 9 is 3. So we could divide by either. Either way you divide it by you can still get the same answer. But it just, if we divide it by the bigger number, we'll get the answer quicker. So 9 divided by 9 is 1. 27 divided by 9 is 3. Therefore, is simplified to a third. Okay, I'll show you what would happen if we divided it by 3, because that would have been fine as well. It just would have taken a bit longer. So if we divide that by 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3. 27 divided by 3 is 9. And then you would have divided it by 3 again. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So you still get the same answer, it just means that it takes a bit longer. But if you find that easier, then that's fine. I don't mind how long it takes as long as you get the right answer. And we have one more to go through before you go on to your learning. So 3 teachers are given all the same cake. After one day, they have eaten different amounts. Who ate the least amount of cake and who ate the most? So Miss Flukes, me, I ate 4/6 of my cake. Mr. Nugent ate 11/18 of his cake, and Mrs. Blackie ate 5/9 of her cake. So who ate the most? Now, I want you to have a go. If you're confident, then have a go, see if you can work it out. If you're not, then stay with me and we'll go through it together. So we need to make sure that all of these denominators are the same. So I've got 6, 18, and 9. Now I know that I can make both 6 and 9 into 18. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to times 4/6 by 3, because 6 times 3 makes 18, and I know that because I know my 3 times table. So 6 times 3, 18, then we do 4 times 3, which is 12. So I ate 12/18 of my cake. Mr. Nugent ate 11/18, don't need to do anything with that one. And Miss Blackie, she ate, now what do we do to 9 to get 18? What would we have to times it by? It would be 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. 9 times 2 is 18. So Mrs. Blackie has eaten 10/18. Therefore, I have eaten the most, as usual. So who's eaten the least amount of cake, looking at these fractions? That would be Mrs. Blackie. So Mrs. Blackie must be on a diet because she's eaten the least amount of cake, unlike me. Okay, it is time for you to have a go at your questions now. So I have 2 questions for group 1. If you want to pause the video now. So spend about 15-20 minutes doing them, and then we'll go through the answers at the end. This is for group 1 and 2. So if you're doing group 1, this is the last question. If you're doing group 2, this is your first question. It's very similar to the question we just went through together. So use the video to help if you're in a bit of a pickle. This is also group 2. And then this is group 2 in the challenge. So once you've gone through them, come back to the video and we'll go through the answers together. Okay, it is answer time now, my friends. So hopefully you managed to have a go at some of those questions. I'm hoping they weren't too bad for you. Like I said, it's just using the knowledge we learned yesterday, so hopefully they weren't too bad. Let's go through group 1 first then. So what fraction of each shape is shaded? So we have the fraction and we just need to simplify it, and it tells you what you need to divide by. So this one's quite a nice question, really. Let me get a purple pen. So they've done 2 divided by 2, which is 1. 10 divided by 2 should be 5. So 2/10 is equivalent, or sorry, 2/10 is simplified into 1/5. It is also equivalent, but that's not what we're looking at today. And then this one, we have 5/10, and you need to work out what we're going to divide by. Now, we know that we cannot divide 5 by 2 because it's an odd number. So what could we divide it by, do you think? It would actually be 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Therefore, 5/10 is simplified is 1/2. The next one then, what fraction of each shape is shaded? Give your answer in its simplest form. So let's count all the triangles together. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to dot them so I don't forget. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 altogether, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are shaded. Now I know straight away that these can be divided by 3 because they're both in a 3 times table. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then part B, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 parts of the circle, and 10 are shaded. I'm going to divide both of those by 2, which would give me 5, 6. Okay, so it's just about spotting what number both of these would go into, or what number you can divide both numbers by, if that makes sense. So I saw that these two I couldn't divide by 2 because 9's an odd number, but they're both in the 3 times table. These ones, they're both even, so you know it's going to be divisible by 2. Group 1 and 2 then. So this is very similar to the question about myself, Mr. Nugent and Miss Blackie. That's why I put it in there, so hopefully it wasn't too hard for you. So I ate 3/5 of my chocolate, I ate 8/20 of my chocolate, and I ate 8/10 of my chocolate. Who ate the least amount of chocolate? So we need to make all the denominators 20 because that's the bigger one. It's just normally easier to make them all the bigger one. So 8/10 would have become 16/20 because you're timesing it by 2. And 3/5 you would have had to times by 4 to get 20 as your denominator. That should have been 12/20. So therefore, Richard ate the least amount of chocolate and Ambika ate the most. Group 2 then, draw lines to match each diagram to its fraction in its simplest form. So if I write the fraction of what these show next to it, that will probably help because that's, in my mind, what would help me. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this grid shows 20 and there are 15 shaded. So this grid shows 15/20. This one shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 18 altogether, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9/18. And finally this one, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is out of 15, and there are 12 shaded, I believe. Sorry if that's not right, please do let me know, because I did rush that. So 15/20 then. Now, if we divide that by 2, so I'm just going to simplify these and then see which ones they match up with. I think that's the best way to do it, rather than guessing and trying to work out from this end. If you work the answer out already, then you'll be able to spot it straight away. So I can see that this one, you can't divide it by 2 because 15 is an odd number, but I can see that they're both in the 5 times table, so I'm going to divide them by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So do we have 3/4? We do. So this one matches up with 3/4. 9/18. Now again, 9 is an odd number, sorry, so we cannot divide it by 2. We can, however, divide by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Now, do we have 3/6? No. So therefore, that means it's not in its simplest form. We need to simplify even further. So we could divide it now, not by 2 because 3 is an odd number. We could divide by 3 because 3 and 6 are both in the 3 times table. Now, if you divide by 3, your numerator would become 1 and your denominator would become 2. So it should be equivalent to a half, and voila, there it is. And the last one then, 12/15. Now again, we cannot divide this by 2, so you need to find another number they're both divisible by, and that would be 3. They're both in the 3 times table, so if you divide it by 3, 12 divided by 3 is 4, 15 divided by 3 is 5, so 4/5. So that one would match with that one. Okay, sorry, that looks very messy now looking on it, but hopefully as I talk through all that, it made sense to you. Now, the next two, you kind of had to explain your answers a bit more. So the first one, what is the most efficient way to simplify these fractions? So we have 12/30. Now, looking at that, I would say the most efficient way to work out these or simplify them would be to divide by 6, because I thought they are divisible by 3. However, that will not get me my simplest answer. If we divide by 6, we should get to the simplest form quicker. So let's just try it out. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 30 divided by 6 is 5. And we know that's our simplest form because we cannot divide it any further. This one would be divided by 8, because I've spotted straight away that 8 is in the 8 times table and 32 is in the 8 times table. 8 divided by 8 is 1, 32 divided by 8 is 4. So that in its simplest form is 1/4. And finally this one, 1836. Now this one you could divide by 18. So it might take you a while to work that one out because that's quite a tricky one. So you could have divided it by 9. 9 would have gone into both of them. But I've just spotted straight away that the most efficient way is to divide by 18, because 18 divided by 18 is 1 and 36 divided by 18 is 2. Therefore, it's equivalent to a half. And the simplified version is a half as well. And then finally, Lee thinks this was a challenge. Lee thinks that the fraction cannot be simplified any further. Do you agree? Explain your answer. Now you can see he simplified it by dividing by 2 twice. So he's left with 3/9. Now, based on what we've been looking at, you guys should know that we don't have to divide it by 2. What could we divide this by? 3. If you divide this by 3, your new numerator would be 1 and your new denominator will be 3. Therefore, it would be a third. Okay, so you can simplify it further. You would just have to divide it by 3 to get 1/3. All right, I hope all that makes sense to you. I hope I didn't waffle on too much and it wasn't too boring. If you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, that's all for today, and I will catch you all again tomorrow.